Hey kids, it's JJ. I am back. How are you on this wonderful, what is it, Tuesday night? I wanted to start a series. It might only be a couple episodes long, but it's basically going to be about micro brushless quads. And you've heard me talk about in the last couple of videos maybe that I'm going to be doing a build video with my brother Nick over in Serbia via telecommunications. It's going to be interesting. I don't know if anybody's ever done something like that before. But anyway, we're going to build a badass bird. And it's going to be, like I said, a little bit more technically involved maybe than the zebra build was, which, by the way, I did mail out the zebra build today to our buddy in Texas, and he's going to be coming home in a couple weeks. And actually, I've got some other news about him. I'm going to post in a different video later. But anyway, he's going to have that beautiful hellbender bird to play with when he comes home after he's done playing with Mama. So anyway, I wanted to talk about micro brushless, do a series, and I want to encourage you guys to build your own quads. And whether you're an expert at soldering or you're not an expert at soldering, you know, whatever, you get more bang for the buck. When you buy a pre-assembled bird like this, you're paying a relative amount of money to have somebody assemble it for you. This thing, it's okay. It's King Kong GT95. I ended up gutting it and putting a real flight controller in it. But anyway, that's coming up later. Take a chance, build your own bird. If you need help, I will help you. You get more bang for the buck. I don't think I've seen any micro brushless that come pre-built that are just like, oh my fucking God, these are amazing. I've got to have that. If I saw one like that, I would buy it. But basically, when I got into micros, I've been into drones and quads, real quads, for 2 or 3 years, probably 3 years. I got into the micro brushless actually the very beginning of the summer, maybe last spring. And I thought, okay, it's just like a normal quad. It's just smaller. That's not really the case. It's very easy to overprop. It's very easy to overpower. It's equally easy to underpower. They're a little bit more sensitive than a full-size quad, like a 210 or 220 that we're used to. And one of the things that I noticed, I went into it thinking, well, I know all this about real size quads, and I don't, you know, fuck it. Bam, I ordered a bunch of shit and I started building, and I smoked some motors. I did all sorts of crazy shit. I'm like, oh, okay, let me take another look at this. And I noticed that online, maybe you guys are smarter than me, and I just didn't look around enough, but you could find lots of reviews on pre-built birds or certain bits and bobs, but never just like a general overview of micro brushless. Like, this motor is going to be great for 3S, this motor is going to be good for 2S, this prop's good with this motor if you're doing that, and this frame's good for that. So that's what I want to get into. So I want to do a general overview for you guys. And like I said, we're going to make this into a series. I'm going to try not to make this too terribly long, but hopefully it's informative, and please give me your input if you guys have any better ideas. So I'm going to show you my little micro fleet. Okay, we have a custom Fly Egg 130. We have a custom, I can't remember the name of the fucking frame. Nick's going to be bitching at me about this. What is this thing? Anyway, this is actually my poor boy micro brushless. We'll talk about every one of these. Toad 90 frame. All these are custom except for 2. My Lizard, which is only the Lizard frame. This is also a custom build. This is not the pre-built one. And the Crappy Hawk, which this is just the biggest, whatever. You've heard me rant about that. But that is a pre-built technically. I had to work on it for a day before it flew worth of shit. My super smoking hot, beautiful 80mm custom build that just is like fucking dog on fire fast. Custom Fly Egg 100, beauty. And another custom Fly Egg 100, beauty. And again, the King Kong Q95. So basically what I want to talk about here, a couple little birds, is, where do I start? Let's start with motors. And batteries. Let's go batteries. So we got 3S. We've got 3S. We've got 3S. And we've got 2S. That's a junker 2S. Where's my good 2S's? There's a good 2S. I need to order new 2S's. And believe it or not, these are really good 2S's. I'll talk about those too. So, I mean, it's confusing. It's like, look at all this shit. It's like, that has those props, that has those props, that has those props. This has this, and this has that. Let's start off with 1104 motors. Those are my motors of choice for general stuff, okay? And I think I've got some spares in here. Let's just take this. This is a dud, actually. This is just a Racing Edition Racer Star 1104. I don't love these. Honestly, I really don't. This is a 6500 kV. Now, 6500 kV is pretty high RPM. Let's see. Let's go with a DYS. There's a 7000 kV. I actually run on most of my birds, 7500 kV on most of them. Now, these are 1104 motors. So, here's the gist. If you take an 1104 motor and you put a 1935 prop on it, you can run 3S fairly safely. They're going to get warm, but they shouldn't smoke, okay? 1104 is a nice, well-rounded motor, in my opinion. I do actually run a 3S on a quad blade like this. This needs a blade upgrade for sure. And these are the Gem Fan. What are these fuckers? I can never remember the names of these things. Yeah, whatever. You know what these are. But anyway, the 1935 props. If you take, like, these are iPower motors. I love the iPower motors. I get these from Get FPV. And these are the 7500 kV. This is my 80 millimeter frame. 7500 kV with 1935 props. Perfectly safe to run a 3S on all day, full blast, no problem. Now, as far as 3S's, there's a 3S 400. There's a 3S 550, okay? And yeah, that's a 2S. And this is a 3S 550 Infinity. So you can run a 2S on this and it flies beautiful, nice and smooth, fairly quick. You put a 3S on this bitch, bang, forget about it. This thing's like fucking out of sight, fast. But if you take 7500 kV motors and put Gen Fan 4-bladers on there, they're going to get really fucking hot. They get pretty hot. I mean, 7500 kV is pretty fucking hot anyway. I mean, when you're running a 3S, that's a lot. Think about that. 3S, that is in 7500 kV. That means 7500 RPM per volt, guys. So think about that. The more mass you're spinning, the worse it's going to be. I mean, as far as heat goes, okay? So I like 7,000 to 7,500s because I can go both ways. I can throw a 2S on here with 4 blades and it performs just about as good. And it doesn't have quite the punch, but it has really good battery life as if I'm running it with the 1935s. It runs really, really, really well. And you can see here's some more. These are the Racer Star ones. The same principle though. These are the 6,500 kVs. This one has a little bit more guts. I can run 4 blades on those, no problem. 3S, 2S, no problem at all. That is really something that you want to take into consideration. So I was talking to a couple of my buddies today, and we were just one of those is Chris, which is Explicit FPV, and a couple of their cats, and he's like, oh, I'm thinking about getting the Flag 130. I was like, you know, I'm going to do a build video on the Flag 130, one of my Flag 130s, and really, just wait. Because I'm going to build it for about what he can buy it for, and the build is going to be way faster, way stronger than the one he can pre-buy or buy built up. Let's get, here's more iPowers. Little magnet stuck on there. Let's see. Now, one of the things I said, this is running, here's a Fly Egg. This one's running DYS 7500 kV. Again, if I'm running that high of a KV motor, I usually run the 1935 3-blade props because it doesn't matter what I put on it. I can put a 2S on here and it's great. I can put a 3S on here and it's bad out of hell. But if I put the 4-blade on there with the same type of RPM, and it's a hot day, you better be careful. This thing right here, even though this is a lizard frame, that's the only thing that is lizard about this. And this one here is just a battle axe, man. This has got Omnibus F4, OSD, 1000 TVL camera, 50 to 200 milliwatt transmitter with a 25 amp ESC. This thing, believe it or not, even though it's in a lizard frame, fucking balls on fire, man. This thing is just a, fuck, forget about it. Awesome. If you go down to, and one of my other buddies was asking me, hey, what's the best battery to buy for a Fly Egg 100? The stock one, not the ones I have. Well, if you look those up, the Fly Egg 100 has 1103 motors, but they're non-vented. So they look kind of like the Emax Baby Hawk. They look like these cans, which, yeah, whatever. And I told him, and I can't remember what the RPM of the KV was on those. I think they were really fucking high. They were like 7,800 or something like that. Don't quote me on that, but they were really, really fucking high. I don't recommend that he runs a 3S on there because if you have an 1104, look at this. These are 1104s. Teeny tiny little guys, okay? Let me see. Let me dig one out. Maybe it's a little easier to see. Here's an 1104. Okay? Very fragile, very little tiny, cutie little motors. They will handle a 3S to a point, but I'd be really careful with that. I have smoked these with the 3S very quickly because I was just being a dumbass. What's the KV on this? This is a 10,000 KV on these things, on this one here. There's no way in hell I'm putting a 3S on here. You're just going to see magic smoke, period, end game. Really the sweet spot for a 3S, I think, is around from 6,000 to 7,500. And if you're running a 6,000, you guys can run a 4-bladed prop like these without issue. And if you're running a 7,500, 1935 3-blades. There is a sweet spot. The higher the motor value, so you got 1103, 1104, and 1105 for most micros. 1105 is going to handle a 4S, 3S. It'll run on a 2S too. 1103, you know, I'd stick to 2S with 1103s. I really would. I've smoked a few of them. Just my own my interpretation there. And the other thing you need to look at is overpropping. You know, you don't want to overprop. If you take these little 1103s, I think this one and this one. Hang on. Sorry about that. Had a smoking hot wife interruption. Anyway, what I was saying was this one and this one, I believe, are the only two that I have that are running 1103s. I kind of sworn off 1103s. I built a couple of them in the beginning with 1103s, and yeah, it's just, I have to worry too much. With 1104, if I put it on a 2S, I'm fine. If I put it on a 3S, I'm fine. And I don't know, and 1105, bam, even better. So that's my gist on that. The other thing that you have to take into consideration here is your ESCs. Now, the smallest ESC that I run, and I don't even fly this fucking thing, but this crappy Hawk, this Emax Baby Hawk thing, has 6 amp ESCs. So each one of them 6 amp. Believe it or not, just because I'm trying to kill it, I run 3S on it a lot, and it hasn't died yet. I give it props. But yeah, I haven't blown it up. I think you're actually pretty safe running 3S on a 10 amp ESC as long as you're not overpropping, because again, that's going to draw more amperage. If you got a 4-bladed prop versus a 3-bladed prop, do the math. So if you take an 1104 motor with a 1935 prop on a 10 amp ESC, you're going to be able to run 3S all fucking day long. But again, I've run them on 10 amp ESCs with 4-bladed props, the 2-inch jobs like these, and still not had a problem. So yeah, ESCs are, I think, in my opinion, and I've been in birds for, quads for 3 years or so, ESCs are fairly forgiving for the most part. They're more forgiving, I think, than the motors, at least in the micro world, okay? And like I said, I'm going to do this in multiple installments, okay? We're going to do one episode that focuses solely on motors. We're going to do an episode that focuses solely on frames, and I have a build video coming up. Take this bird, for instance, okay? Fly Egg 130 with a half-assed, I have a spare flight controller in here, so it's kind of ugly right now. I've got my new Omnibus F4 coming in for it. But this one is also running DYS 7500 kV and Racer Star 6500 kVs in the front. And I did a video on this earlier, back, I don't know, a few videos ago, where you can mix and match motors. So I got 75s in the rear and 65s in the front, and the thing flies like a scalded dog, no problem. As long as you're still in the same size frame, meaning 1104s, which is what these are, you're fine. Now, I wouldn't go an 8000 1104, I don't know if they even make one, but a 7500 1104 and a 4000 1104, but if you're only 5000 or even in this case 10,000 kV off, it compensates just fine. This thing flies awesome. And I've got the 3-inch props on this guy. Now, I usually only run 2S on this one. This one has a 15 amp ESC, if I remember right. Usually runs an F4 Omnibus. And again, let's just assume they're 7500 kV motors with 3-inch blades. Trust me when I say, with those big ass props you're spinning, 2S is probably as high as you want to go with that. So yeah, that's really, it's very confusing. You first get into micro brushless quads, and it's like you can see all these reviews online where they say, oh, here's the crappy hawk, get it, it's awesome, which it's not. I don't know why the fuck you would buy this. I did, so I guess I'm an idiot. I bought 2 pre-builts, and that's these 2, bam and bam. And I don't like either one of them. I really don't. I think this thing is the biggest piece of shit as far as flight controller goes. This had the biggest bag of ass flight controller. Seriously, fucking Atari. I mean, it was terrible. I literally, before I even flew it, I looked at it. No beeper, no OSD, just F3, just crap. I yanked it out and put an Omnibus F4 with OSD on it in there. And it's actually a decent bird now. The ESC is okay. The motors are fine. It's a nice bird, but a horrible flight controller. Why they did that, I don't know. And the crappy hawk, I just wanted to try one, and yeah, I hate it. This is my drinking bird. Like, if I've drank way too much, I want to go fly around the neighborhood, because I do not fucking care about losing this. The only thing, in my opinion, about this bird that's any good is the camera. And even then, But anyway. So the pre-builts I've bought, I dislike. The ones I have built, I love. I really do. My Fly Egg 100s, which are right here and right here. One of them is running a 25 amp ESC. One of them is running a 15, I believe. They're both running F4 Omnibus with OSD, 1000 TVL cameras. I mean, these things are just both running 7500s. kV motors. These are running DYSs, and this one's running iPower. Yes, I love this bird. iPower. This one's an Omnibus F3, if I remember right. F3 with a 15 amp ESC Omnibus or iPower 7500 kV with a 2550 200 milliwatt VTX transmitter with a 1000 TVL camera. This is a bad little bird. Okay. Actually, that's probably my second favorite bird, to be honest. This one, which is an 80 millimeter, you guys have seen maybe a couple of videos I did on this one. This one's running also iPower 7500 kV, the exact same motors. And I want to say it's running a 10 amp, I think, Omnibus F. This one might be an SP Racing F3 because yeah, this one doesn't have OSD with a 200 milliwatt VTX all-in-one, which I don't love. It's actually a beautiful picture. It really is, but I don't like not having OSD. But I do have a beeper stuck in there, and this thing just flies like a dog on fire. This is my favorite. This is probably my second favorite, the flag I just talked about. Absolutely beautiful birds. I love the 130. The 130 frame, and this is basically an introduction to the micro series that I'm going to be doing. And I'm still going to do regular size quads. I'm also going to start a drone series, I think, because I just absolutely love drones, and all of you are probably like, fuck drones. But the 130 handles like a real bird, whereas these are a little bit more agile and they're faster in the sense of flipping and things like that. This guy handles like a real bird, a real, like, say 200, 210. It's a beautiful flying machine. You will see a trend with me. With most of my builds, I run 1000 TBL separate camera and the 25, 50, 200 VTX. And when we get more in depth with the series, I'll show you what I actually use. And I usually put them on 50. I think 200 milliwatt drains the batteries too fast. These are little fucking batteries, guys. You know, you're not looking for Skinamax on these things. So I usually run them on 50 because I like to have a little bit of throughput, but it doesn't have to be, you know, it's a micro quad. I'm not going to fly it a mile away. So, yeah, I absolutely love this frame. I have another one of these coming, which I think is what we're going to do the build with. The build with my buddy Nick over in Serbia. And I'll talk about that in a minute. But I love this frame too. This is a great flying bird. This one, which was meant to be my poor boy, and I'm just having the absolute brain fart of the century, remembering what the name of this frame is. Damn it, I can't remember. Been drinking. Anyway, this one's running a 10 amp ESC, if I remember right, Omnibus F3 with OSD, 1000 TBL camera, same VTX setup I always run. But this one is running 1103s. One of the few that I built. And this is my poor boy. This is the one where I went through my toolbox. I'm like, see if I have enough spare parts to build a new bird. And I did. But if you look at this, this has awesome 1103s, 7500 KVs in the back. And Racer Star, 10,000 KVs in the front. Flies perfect. Like I said, kids, mixing and matching in micros works. That's why I have a bunch of spare motors in here. There are 1103s and 1104s because that's right now all I run. And if I blow an 1104 or if I blow an 1103, bam, I don't care. I can swap it out and I'm good to go. Okay. This was an experimental bird, but actually this thing flies like really well. I was impressed. And then there's the other flag. This flag is pretty much identical to the other flag 100 I showed you. But this one has DYS 7500s all the way around. But same thing. I think this has got a 25 amp ESC. It's got the Omnibus F3. This one actually has LEDs in the back too, just for fun. This is a great little bird too. This was a rebuild because I broke my original one that I built. I love the fly egg frame. Absolutely love it. It's a little porky compared to, like, say, this little guy. But it's just, oh, you got so much fucking room to build in there. These things are just, I love them. This is my third one. I have one, I have two, and I've got the 130, but I'm not counting that. But as far as the 100s, yeah, I destroyed my first one I ever built. And I actually have another one coming in the mail, and I have another 130 frame coming in the mail. We're going to do the build video on probably. But anyway, I love these frames. They're tough, they're very strong, they're very thick. They will hold 1103, 1104, 1105 motor. You got plenty of room in the stack to do stuff with, and they're tough as nails, except for me, I crash shit like a dumbass. But I love this frame. They're 20 bucks. Really fucking badass, right? So there's that one. My Toad. This is a Toad 90 millimeter. This is my least favorite frame. I got an all-in-one VTX 25 milliwatt in here. Probably an Omnibus F3, probably a 10 amp ESC running Racer Star 7500s, which actually, this thing actually, and I hacked my camera, so I got OSD on it. It actually flies really fucking well, but I don't love the frame. I really don't. I think it's just, it's too hard to get shit in it. It's not super thick. It's not my favorite. That one will probably get gutted and turned into a flag someday. What is this thing? King Kong Q95. I don't think it's worth it. I really don't. I think, guys, do not buy this. I think, look at the ESC. It's proprietary. It's a funky ass ESC. The flight controller is a bag of ass, like I said. The motors are okay, but really, 1103 motors, dime a dozen. Don't worry about it. Don't buy this. It flies okay now that I put, Omnibus F4 in it. Lady Hawk, or whatever the fuck this is, Baby Hawk, don't even consider it. And then my awesome Q95. And once I destroy this frame, which I'm sure it will happen, this is going to get put into a flag as well, because this one's full throttle, like I said. We got 7,500 kV 1104s, 25 amp ESC, which is way too huge for this bird. Omnibus F4 with OSD, the whole 9 yards. This thing's just, 25, 50, 200 milliwatt transmitter, 1000 TVL camera. Bam! This thing's just bad to the bone. This is a beautiful flying bird. Some dude busted my balls. He's like, I can't believe you used that frame because those frames suck. They're boring looking. And, it's like, really? Micro frame? Who cares? You got goggles on, dude. I don't give a fuck what it looks like. I mean, I think the egg looks cool, but I have a whole shelf full of these fucking things. I don't care what they look like. Anyway, so that's a real quick introduction, rundown. Some of it you might have picked up, some of it you might not have. I am going to get more in depth with the series. The build that we're going to do, which is going to be probably the second movie to the series, is going to be... I've got 3 frames coming in. One I can't remember. I think it's like the size of this 80, pod style, but it's a 110, which I'm really interested to see. These fly amazing. I know you guys are looking at this frame like that's really boring compared to a fly egg. This fucker flies badass. Favorite bird, favorite micro quad right here. Over the fly egg. I've got one of those coming in, it's a 110. I've got a fly egg 130 and a fly egg 100 frame, all coming in probably this week. And I have not decided what I'm going to do the build video on yet. Realistically, the fly egg 130 would be the best choice. Because we're putting 1105 6,000 kV motors on it, which is huge. We're putting an F4 Omnibus 25 amp all-in-one ESC on it. So it's going to have OSD and 25 amp per motor ESC on it. And like I said, I believe it was 6,000 kV 1105s. So it will safely run a 4S. I don't even own a 4S micro battery, so that'll be interesting. And we're going to put, if we make it a flag 130, we'll keep it a 3S, but we'll put 3-inch props on it. And it's going to actually have the Runcam, what is that fucker? The Runcam Mini, whatchamacallit, Mini Swift or Mini Runcam, whatever the fuck it is. So it's going to have that cool little camera in it with the same transmitter I use, the 25-50-200. So it's even going to have a badass camera system in it. Going to be a beautiful build, guys. So if you have a preference of a flag 130, 100, or the 110 pod, let me know what you'd like to see. That's what we're going to build. And really, like I said, it is cheaper and better to build these things on your own than it is to go buy a pre-built. For instance, this guy, Crappy Hawk, which in its defense, this frame is actually awesome. It doesn't break. I think the motors are kind of crappy. I think the ESCs are underrated. The flight controller's crap. Doesn't have OSD. I had to put my own beeper on it. I mean, whatever. This was $100, I think. I built this guy, which will blow the fucking doors off of this guy. I mean, without even thinking twice about it, for under what I paid for that. This thing's got OSD, a beeper, probably a 15 amp ESC, Omnibus F4, 7,500 kV 1104 motors, and 200 milliwatt VTX. I mean, it's, but I think this one's 200 watts too, so I can't milliwatt. I can't kill that. And I built this one cheaper than I built this one, or bought this one for. So guys, seriously, take a risk. If you get stuck, I will help you. build your own bird, because you're paying an extra 50 bucks or whatever for somebody to assemble this, where you could take that extra 50 bucks and put it into your bird. Let's do this for an example. You guys go ahead and add this up. Motors. This is a Fly Egg 100 build that I did. These motors, these are DYS, but let's assume these are iPowers. Those are $9 a piece. So 9 times 4, do the math on that. Then you got the frame, that's 20 bucks. The VTX and camera combos, 20 bucks. The flight controller was 14 bucks, and the ESC was probably 15 bucks. Do the math. Maybe it's 110, maybe. But I'd still rather have this all day fucking long than that. This thing's just like tugboat, you know, and this thing's like, bam, sports car. This will get you tail, this will get you rejected, okay? I'm telling you. So this is going to be my series, and a lot of my guys that I talk to on my channel are really into micros, even more so than they are the macros or the standard size quads. So please let me know. This isn't going to be a long series. It's not going to be like ongoing for 2 years or anything like that, but I want to do 4 or 5 good videos of batteries and frames and just things like that, and what you guys want to see, or what's really got you intrigued. What do you want to know? Because I think you have to watch like 30 videos to understand the micro world. It is very different. It is not the same as the standard quads. It really isn't. Standard quad, you can buy any fucking motor, any battery, and any ESC just about, and it will fly fine. Whereas these, you really got to be a little bit more careful. So when I do the build with my buddy Nick that we're going to do, I am going to talk more in depth about why you use this motor and why you don't use that motor and this, that, whatever. So, but please, you guys all know me. I talk to you all just about. So please let me know what you want to see, what questions you have, and because I want to really do a micro world class thing, not just, okay, here's a Toad and here's this and here's that. I want to do, hey, if you want to use this type of motor, you better use this battery, this prop. You want to use this type of frame, you can use this, this, and this. Anyway, that's the gist. So this is just an intro video to Micro Quad World. And let me know what y'all think. I've rambled enough. Have a great Tuesday night, kids. Bam. Talk to you later. Take care.